Do people even care about Stranger Things anymore? I saw a post on X the other day. Someone was like, oh, Stranger Things, the last season's releasing next year? Well, too bad no one cares. And it definitely is a situation we've seen rise up with the release of Stranger Things, because unlike a lot of other shows, the release of these seasons happens like every 3 years. It's like the freaking Olympics. We want to find out what happens next. We're gonna have to stay tuned. A lot of this was sparked by a picture of Max, them saying, don't worry, Max is alive. I don't even think it was the official Stranger Things account. It was just like some fan or something like that. And then someone was like, that's cool. I don't even remember what happened to her. And I'm gonna be honest, it took me a second. I was like, what happened to Max? What happened to Max? Who is Max? Oh yeah, she's in a coma because Vecna was like attacking her. In the perfect world, sure, we would get a season of Stranger Things every single year, every single, 9-10 months, even, year and a half, I'll do with it. Like The Boys. The Boys is more or less like every other year. But that does not seem to be the case, and there are a few different reasons. The first one being is that this is a show with a lot of special effects. You can look at a show like Breaking Bad that went 5 years in a row. 5 years, season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, more or less, that's how that ran. But also Breaking Bad, we have to remember, that is not a very big special effects show. That is all shot in New Mexico. It's all shot basically in camera, minimal editing as far as the special effects go. So it's easier, sure, to make that happen. You also could point to a show like Game of Thrones, which is probably the only other thing I can think about, a show on that level of spectacle and special effects, if not more so than Stranger Things. Again, I don't know for this next season, but a very big production show. That show also ran every single year except for the last season. There was, a year off. Let's take a year off to really make sure season 8 is terrific. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe they just ruin the streak, when you have a 10 times multiplier, then you ruin the combo and everything goes back down to the bottom. Maybe that's what happened to Game of Thrones. Curious thought. But also you could say Game of Thrones, that is based on source material. They have something to look at for the story of the whole entire thing, to where you don't have to write like Stranger Things is doing. Stranger Things has always kind of written throughout the production of the show. Sure, you could say, the timelines of the writers and things like that, but I'm not too familiar with how fast the writers are writing. So it's not necessarily a writer's issue of them not writing fast enough. But from the beginning, Stranger Things has always been in that situation of let's take a few years off in between seasons, which hurts it in the sense of it gives the actors more space to go explore other things. What's that? I don't gotta play Hopper for a few years. Let me go do Red Guardian. Let me go do Hellboy. Let me go do, Silent Violet Night. Which, when that's the case, actors get bigger and bigger, hence more demand for them. We have characters like a lot of people from Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad. They didn't really do much in that run of their main show. Bryan Cranston, we didn't see a lot from him in that time. Same thing with Giancarlo Esposito, who didn't really get big until after that show wrapped up. So is there a solution to this problem? I'm not sure. There's no point in imagining a world where, they ran every single year and Stranger Things ended 4 or 5 years ago. There's no world where we have to think about that, because that's not the one we live in. It's a bummer. Sure, I think it has ruined some of the anticipation into Stranger Things, but I don't think it's necessarily hurt the legacy of the show, because once we get back into that next season, if it's of the quality that Stranger Things usually is, I'm gonna jump right back into it. I'm gonna pick back right up into the story, and I'm gonna look back across all the seasons and be like, that's a good show, that's a quality show. And then, even then, people that find the show after, like Game of Thrones, like Breaking Bad, that can binge all the seasons all at once, that's gonna be a very strong, thorough experience you can all watch at once. And I think that that's something that I've been curious in doing, is that once this whole entire show is over, I'm curious, I'm intrigued to jump back in and watch the whole thing over from the start, see how it flows together as a story, the whole entire thing, because again, I forget what happens in the last season, especially some of the B and the C stories. I don't know what's going on with Mrs. Wheeler in season 6. I got no idea. All I know is running up that hill. It's curious for sure. I'm interested to see the legacy of Stranger Things moving forward, see where the show goes, the world goes, because they're going to do spin-offs. They already do the Broadway play, which I've never heard anyone ever mention, which is strange, but I don't know. Anyways, what do you think? Do you think the fact that they're releasing the show every like 3 years at this point. Do you think that's really hurting the legacy of Stranger Things? Let me know. Are you excited for the next season still? I'll be in the comments responding to everyone. Talk to you later. New videos every single day. Bye-bye.